Mm.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Keiko. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. And I asked you a question. Did you put makeup on today?
I did. I
See?
did.
Wow.
I put makeup on. I did not wash my hair, though, because, you know,
Things
just
happen.
didn't feel the need to wash my hair today.
Well, that's okay. So, are you doing something? Are you going for an outside walk? What are you doing? The makeup? Or was it for this Facebook Live thing?
It was for this.
Oh.
Specifically for you.
Well, oh, you're so sweet.
I'm trying, you know? I really am.
What have you been doing last week?
Okay, so I feel like this week, it started off rough. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. What happened?
I just feel like I started to, like, really feel it this week.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little rough. But you know what? Today I met up with a friend and we safely met up and we took our kids for a walk in the park.
That's nice.
And then when I got home, I set up shop outside and I worked a little outside.
That's awesome.
It really felt good. Nice little vitamin D. What about you?
Well, we have been getting calls that, I think folks are starting to, not enjoy this the self-isolation or quarantining or whatever. So, we've gotten some calls and I think it's been, a bit, trying to walk some folks through it. And, I love my family. But I'm not used to being, with just one set of folks the entire time. I love my wife, love Nick. But I tell you what, I'd give anything to see another human being. You know what I'm saying?
Is there anything that you and your family have been just like a ridiculous argument that's been going on because you guys are stuck together?
We had one in the car last week because we were going to do takeout. Huh?
Is it okay to share with the class?
I don't know. I know she's on, and I forget what it was, but I know it was something completely stupid, and it was if she gets on, she'll have to share because I forget. We were going. I don't know. It was something completely ridiculous. But yes, there are those moments where it's like, and then as a guy, I don't know if this happens to women, but as a guy, it is so bad because in the middle of the argument, you're kind of wrong and you're acting foolish. So it is, hey, Chloe, how are you doing? But so in the middle, you're wrong, but you don't want to admit you're wrong, so you keep fighting. Even though...
Is that what it is? I feel like you're spilling a lot of tea for some men here. Secrets.
Do women do that? Do women in the middle know?
No, I'm never wrong.
Arguing? Oh, okay. Really?
If I'm fighting with my husband, right.
I have to ask Matthew that.
For my mom. No, but I get that. The other day, what did we fight about? There's this dip from Trader Joe's I really like.
Uh-huh.
Spinach and kale with and made with It's spinach and kale made with like yogurt. Yeah, like chips and dip.
I'm from the country. Dip is what you put in your lip.
Oh yes. No. I don't chew tobacco. I don't dip. I have chips.
Uh-huh.
So he must have had a snack of it, which we share. That's fine. But he left one scoop, literally a spoonful. And in his mind, he didn't finish it. So it's fine. He saved it for me. I'm like, it's a scoop. What am I supposed to do with a scoop? So I turned to him and I go, I don't want to be quarantined with you anymore. I want to choose somebody else. And I went to the other room. Now, mind you, he's also going to work every day. So I'm not actually stuck in the house with just him all the time. But yeah, it's been interesting fights happening here.
Yeah, silly things. Well, there, my wife just got on. What am I complaining? What was our fight last week that we had in the car? It was ridiculous, and I forget what it was about. It was so ridiculous. Hey, Flip.
Hello, Dad.
How you doing, Dad? Is that Dad or is that Mom? Posing as
Dad. Chloe is my mom. Flip is my dad.
Okay, so we do have, because last week your mom was posing as your father.
She was. She probably could have done some serious damage on his Facebook. Also, I want to state that although this is a wine glass, this is coffee.
Oh, is it really?
It's coffee.
Is it
I felt like your wife said you had to drive your car.
Okay, so here's the deal. So my wife, I have a car and I put one of those little scent things in it, and the little like little air fresheners that go in the vent. And my wife says that they give her headaches, and all of that.
What smell is it?
It's like Gain. It has to be kind of manly, so it can't be like. Melissa loves the coffee and wine glass.
Melissa, hi.
but this smell thing goes in the vent, and it's Gain, like the Gain detergent thing.
Okay.
And so I wanted to drive my car because I don't get out much, and I don't get to drive my car. You know, I got that different car now. So So like we literally got in the car and I pulled out and she's like already gagging. So I have to pull back in and am like, geez, oh my God, So we ended up having to take her car. And like we drove to Mount Vernon and then to Columbus and didn't speak. So yeah, which was about 2 hours. So yeah, it was over a vent clip in a car.
Okay.
So, that's how mature we are.
Everybody watching, if you are having arguments, like silly arguments with whoever's in your house, let us know so we don't feel so alone.
Yes.
My mom, they have the same dispute over and over because my dad doesn't listen. At some point.
Does your dad listen to your mom?
Yes.
Does he?
I don't decide to take on that one.
Whichever way, you're written out of the road.
Ours not speaking, that's not bad. My brother and I once decided to drive together for our family vacation. We lasted from his house to the gas station. That was 5 minutes. Then he told me I wasn't allowed to speak for the rest of the 8-hour drive.
8 hours?
Yeah. So from there to North Carolina, so from Jersey to North Carolina, I wasn't allowed to talk to him. We didn't talk to each other. Yeah. We like stopped at a gas station and like I made fun of him there. And then we got into a fight.
Wow.
So,
that's a long time. Like, and do you see or do you just like, oh well, I'll just do something else?
Well, I had a friend and he had his at the time friend.
Oh, okay. What happened to the girlfriend? Why did they break up?
To the curb, and then he found my sister-in-law, who's just so much more better.
Oh, what, did you not like your girlfriend?
No, she was fine. There wasn't anything wrong with her. She was great. But I love my sister-in-law. If you're watching, Kim.
Oh.
No, she's really great. She's a gem.
Thank you, Brad. The camp. Gain is great. Yes. Go Reds. Cincinnati Reds. Right now, they're undefeated this season, the Reds. So,
I'm a Mets fan.
Mets?
Yeah. Well, I am from New Jersey, and in New Jersey, you're either a Yankees fan or you're a Mets fan.
Why not a Yankees fan? At least they win every once in a while.
Listen, I don't pick teams just because they win, okay? I pick teams out of loyalty.
Okay. What made you loyal to the Mets?
My father.
Oh. Uh-oh. Sorry, Mr. Talley. Flip's gonna go on a rant here about the Mets probably. So he's a big Mets. Your dad. Flip Talley? Okay.
He could drop some knowledge on there. Your wife said she could use wine in a wine glass right about now. I could too.
Yeah, it's still working hours. So we are still working.
Still on the job.
Yeah, no kidding. 5:01. You can do whatever you want. But
I usually leave the office at 4.
Huh? Oh, that's right.
I usually leave the office at 4. So
We don't choose winning. That's sad.
See, Brad, what is your team? Because he says that he doesn't choose winning either.
You and I are the Reds fans.
Oh, he's the Reds fan.
Yeah, he's a man. He is up in Marion County.
Oh, okay.
You ever been to Marion County, by the way?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I decided today that I'm not. Well, my friend Tracy decided that I am not allowed to pick directions anymore because I would pick a path and be like, "Let's go right," and like there was no. It was all like gravel, and I don't know if you've ever tried to push a stroller with a toddler who is searching for fish and birds through gravel, but it doesn't work. So
what a workout you got.
It was nice. I counted it. My move ring is now closed, so that's good.
Oh, I did Peloton today. My little thing is closed too.
Oh yeah, we should start. Did you know that you can add friends?
No.
You can share your activity, and then you can compete with each other.
Let's do that. How do you do that?
Let's do it. I don't. I'll figure it out once we get off of here.
Okay.
But I'm going to add you.
I think that would be quality entertainment, us playing with our watches for 10 minutes. That would be fantastic.
Might be. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Marion has the Popcorn Festival.
What is that?
It's a popcorn festival. It's a festival.
Like you just get together and eat popcorn?
It's like a huge thing. It's like a huge festival all around, centered around popcorn. Pretty big deal up in Marion, Ohio.
That sounds fun.
There's a town for it. And there's a popcorn museum in Marion, Ohio.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just giving you that kernel of information.
Moving on. I'm sorry, Brad, that I don't know what a popcorn festival. All right, one more question, and then let's bring in our guests.
Okay.
This week. And people in the comments, feel free to comment on it. What is the one positive thing that you've thought of that this whole thing has brought you?
Honestly, it is I've been on a lot of phone calls today. I've been on with Tom Craig up in at Peg's Foundation. I was on the phone with Lori Chris, the director of OMOS. Been on the phone with different folks. Danny Eakins from Vet Services. The one thing is crisis. This crisis has kind of brought up the absolute need that we and honestly the togetherness to try to see how we can fix the mental health system. Mm. So I'm cautiously excited about what this can bring. The crisis call centers. We're going to do some things with them. I think I mentioned, and Georgia has a fantastic crisis call center because of Hurricane Katrina. So, hey, John Dudley, how you doing? I almost flipped him off accidentally because that's usually what I do. But yeah, so the crisis call. So their crisis call center was improved and it was integrated into their crisis work a lot better because of a disaster. And I think we have an opportunity to improve systems here, and everybody seems to be focused on it. So that's what I'm seeing as a positive. So what about you?
I mean, that's a pretty big positive.
Yeah.
And I feel like that outshines mine. Mine was just saving money on gas. I finally filled up my tank for the first time during this whole thing. It cost me $20 to fill up my tank. I was like,
but doesn't that suck? The gas prices go like $1.50, $1.60, and then nobody can drive.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke. Like I thought I don't wear my glasses as often as I need to. So like, am I reading that wrong? It's like, I'm not going there. That's got to be wrong. So I went to Kroger. This is how I drive. And I went to Kroger and I filled up the tank and I was like, wait, why did that only cost me $20? Like, that's amazing. Find the little things in life, you know.
Did you get more spinach and kale dip?
No.
Oh.
I have to go food shopping tomorrow, and I've been trying to do like one of us goes food shopping. So then, and by one of us, I mean me. I go food shopping, and then I go to one store, and then I go to the next store, and then I come home and I shower, change my clothes.
Well, remember the 6th, starting the 6th, stores are only allowing a certain number of people in stores.
Yes.
So there will be lines probably.
Are the 6th? No. Where's the 4th?
Monday. So next week when you go food shopping, might have to wait. So.
Well, you know, I get that. Let's just be safe. That's fine. That's
Right.
good.
So I'm excited about our guests we have on today. We have Denise and Sarah from Loss. I know Denise Meine-Graham. I can't remember Sarah's last name because I only know Sarah. But there they are. And they're from Loss, which is a they do, so anytime there's a suicide, they do they go work with the family. They go and provide services, resources for family members. And I'll let them talk more about it. But Denise and Sarah are one of our most valuable partners because they do such important work around, not just in Franklin County, but around the state of Ohio. I mean, they train so many folks to start their own loss teams in the state. And from what I hear on the national level, Ohio is kind of leading the way with loss. So and a lot of that is because of Denise and Sarah, what they're doing. So really, really happy to have both of these ladies on. So tell us what do you do at Loss outside of what I just said?
Hi, Tony. Hi, Keiko.
Good.
Hello.
Good to see both of you.
You too.
Thank you for having us on. So a little bit about Loss Community Services. We exist to be an installation of hope to people that have been impacted by a suicide loss. And we do that in a variety of ways. We normally, not in these circumstances, but normally we're on call 24/7 and we go immediately to support families, friends, coworkers, whomever it may be. When we get a phone call from the coroner's office, we have a partnership there. We provide resources, a bottled water, a hug, again, not now, but again soon. And we have a lot of aftercare programs. We have support groups. We have remembrance events. We have a companioning program, which is like this one-on-one program where somebody can call us up and say, hey, my sister died 3 years ago, and I'd like to connect with somebody maybe that's in the same boat. And we have trained volunteers that we can connect the two of them, and they can meet over a cup of coffee again, eventually. And now they could talk on the phone. So there's that, or Zoom. So there's that too. So yeah, that's a little bit about Loss. And Loss was founded in 2014. My son died by suicide in August of 2012. He was 19 years old, and he was and still is my pride and joy.
And how did you and Sarah meet? Do you mind sharing that? Because I think that's a fantastic story.
So Sarah is also a suicide loss survivor, and her loss was also in August of 2012. And she and I met at one of the local monthly support groups in 2013. And we've been connected ever since, even though she moved away. She came back to come to work for Loss once we officially got up and got going and had some people that we needed to hire. So yeah, we're kind of stuck together.
Yeah.
30-year contract.
30-year contract.
Yeah.
What is that?
We have matching bracelets.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. We should get those, Tony.
My wife and I have we need matching t-shirts, actually. We all should wear matching t-shirts on the show. That'd be exciting. So how has this whole pandemic thing, how has it changed what y'all are doing?
Oh, well, we're doing a lot, obviously, by phone right now and through video chat, things like this, through Zoom meetings. We are actually calling every suicide loss survivor that we have a phone number for, which isn't everybody, but where we do have a phone number. Our volunteers and Sarah and I and another staff member are all kind of making phone calls just to say, hey, how are you doing? We're just calling to check in and see how you are. We're kind of figuring this out along with everybody else. It's, I heard earlier, Keiko was saying that this week, it was kind of starting to impact her. It was starting to become a little more real this week. And I kind of feel that way too. It's just each week, I think it becomes reality at a different level.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling that too. And that's part of the reason why we want to keep calling survivors and we want to be available to lost survivors. And they can email us or call us. We have the phone forwarded to our home. And just let us know if they need support. And we can connect them with somebody pretty darn quickly.
That's awesome.
And, you and I were chatting, I guess, a couple weeks ago. And I think what really kind of struck me was, you had talked about after you lost your son, you almost had this sense of invincibility.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked a little bit about how that might play into this situation. So, can you kind of go through what we were chatting about, this invincibility after you lose somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the one hand, losing my son, I was incredibly fragile and vulnerable and devastated beyond words. But at the same time, I thought I was invincible. I was kind of like, bring it. Nothing else can be as bad as what I'm living with right now. So just bring it. And that attitude can be empowering, which is good, but it can also be dangerous because especially with everything that's going on right now, you don't want to be out taking risks you shouldn't be taking and being around sick people or getting other people sick. And yeah.
Did the same happen for you, Sarah?
Yeah. Well, I think it tied more into when I lost my brother, I had very unhealthy coping skills to begin with. And so I had a heightened sense of more at-risk behavior plus unhealthy coping skills that just created a very unsafe dynamic. But it was really good to connect with another lost survivor who I could share my feelings and thoughts with. And, I could start getting feedback on healthier ways to approach those thoughts and feelings. And it wasn't a judgment on, you're really messed up. You shouldn't be doing those things. That's not how it was approached at all. And so I think that helped lessen some of my at-risk behaviors that I had been having.
Louisa, and I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong, asked about how many suicide loss survivors was Loss able to support last year?
Last year, wow. I know since inception, we've supported well over 3,000 lost survivors. And we support close to that every year because we maintain contact with everybody, even if it's just by sending a card on their loved one's birthday or maybe on the anniversary of when they lost their loved one. Where'd Tony go?
Yeah, I don't know. We're just down a player. It's fine.
Okay.
I don't think it was anything you guys said.
Yeah, I really pissed him off with that answer.
You should be able to jump back in. Oh, well, Sarah, you mentioned some. Louis just says I did say your name right. Good, thank you. You mentioned about Tony's computer just froze, and he will be right back.
Okay.
For everyone. You mentioned about some coping skills. What are some good healthy coping skills that you guys have learned and kind of share with everyone else?
I think one of the best coping skills that I've been able to learn and start practicing, which I'm not perfect with by far, it's still a learning curve, is being able to acknowledge it doesn't matter why I'm feeling a certain way, but that I do feel this way, and to be able to talk about it and be more transparent with where I'm at and what I'm thinking and feeling. So that was incredibly helpful and healthy for me.
Mm-hmm. Denise, what about you?
Similar. I know shortly after my son died, I had to lean big time into my faith, as Sarah calls it, leaning into her faith. But I had to revisit everything. It didn't come automatic for me. What I thought I knew about God, what I thought I believed about God, all kind of went out the window because it didn't quite square with the hell I was now living. And so I had to revisit everything I thought I believed and basically reconfirm, oh, okay, I do still believe those things. That was a big lifesaver for me. That was part of my coping. I read a ton of books about heaven and things like that.
I feel like that's very common for people to kind of start questioning their faith in situations like that.
It is. It really is.
I think it's funny because before I lost my brother, I didn't have a faith system or belief system outside of, well, we just stop existing. And when he died, I started exploring a little bit more of what that looks like to me. And about 2 years ago, I became a believer in the Christian faith. And so I became Christian in this grief journey.
Right.
So some people will talk about leaving their faith and something like that, but this actually brought me to that religious strong foundation, and it's actually it's impacted my whole grief journey even this far into it to establish that.
So we're just talking personally.
Right.
Loss, I want to clarify that Loss Community Services is not a faith-based organization.
Right.
We're just talking about our own personal journeys.
Right. What works for you may not work for someone else.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's very accurate.
Yeah. Chloe Austin wants to know, what do either of you do to decompress or self-care? That's a tough one.
Turning off the phone.
Something you just aren't sure if it's appropriate to share.
Turning off our phone is important. Well, I'll just speak for myself. Something weird happens when you end up impacted by a suicide loss, and when you put yourself out in public by starting an organization like this. You're kind of, if somebody's reaching out to you, it's probably because of suicide. So that high school friend I haven't heard from in years and years, okay, she must have something going on that's suicide related. And sometimes I just have to disconnect from social media and from the phone and just chill and read something that has nothing to do with anything important. Just take me to another place for a while. And chocolate.
Chocolate fixes everything.
Of course.
Absolutely. Sarah?
I think I'll have my little outbursts, and it's a lot of swear words that come out with it.
I was just about to say, what does your outburst look like? Swear words.
It's a lot of loud swearing. Part of my decompression.
You gotta let it out sometimes.
But no, really, I think I love sitting outside and just having quiet and just not having to think about anything, not having any obligations, and giving myself that freedom to just say, you know what, I don't have the capacity, and that's okay. Or I might have the capacity, but I don't want to lose it.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
I sat out, I don't know if you guys heard me earlier, but when I got home today, I took my computer and I just sat on my back patio and I was like, this is just so nice.
Nice.
It just like calms me.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Something about the sun.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's a perfect day to just sit outside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And drink water.
Oh, drinking water. I finished my coffee, so now I'm on water with you. You guys talked a little earlier about having the capacity to just kind of say, I believe it was you, Sarah, that said it. Just kind of say, like, you know, I can't handle this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and I know that Tony, he can talk about this more when he gets in, but he got some calls this week from people, and they were saying things like, you know, I don't have it in me to support my family members right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their family members are struggling with suicidal thoughts, but they're under so much stress with everything going on right now that they don't have enough hands to kind of carry their family members' weight too. Do you have any advice for people on how they can be honest and just be upfront about that feeling with people without hurting anyone?
Wow, I think what you just said sounded beautiful. And using Sarah's word capacity, just being honest that I love you, I care about you. I'm not at my full self right now. I'm not at full capacity. And I need to take some time to re-energize. I think that's okay to say that sometimes, especially in these circumstances where we're all kind of cooped up with whoever it is that we're cooped up with. Or maybe, I don't know if this is worse or better, maybe we're alone. That can be kind of scary though for suicide loss, or for anybody, but certainly suicide loss survivors. When you're dealing with such a traumatic grief, you tend to isolate anyway. Maybe it's because you can't imagine, there just aren't words to describe how you feel, so why bother trying? Right. Maybe you're feeling judged or ashamed or whatever, but isolation is already a common thing with suicide loss grief. So yeah, this kind of stinks right now if people are flying solo. Sarah, do you want to, you're flying solo right now, dude. Talk about that.
I live by myself. It's pretty fantastic. So it's got its pros and cons, right? And I think it's really important for anybody, but especially people who don't have someone to physically be there to check in on them and say, hey, this doesn't seem right. Let's talk about it. I think it's really important that people know what their resources are and who their support system is, especially if right now some of their normal support doesn't have that capacity. Right. And so to really just lean into understanding who is available. Hey, you're back. So I am way more diligent about reaching out to people who I know are part of like my really close, trusted support. And I utilize that. I lean into it a whole lot more, and I don't shame myself into saying like, oh, you know, you're going to be a burden if you share this, because that's not true. The people in my support are going to tell me, hey, now's not a good time. You know, have you tried talking to so-and-so, or reconnecting me to other additional support that I know about, and helping me do that.
That's awesome. I was Tony just discussing about the calls that you were getting and asking them on advice for people who are already carrying a lot and don't, I believe their wording to you was, don't have the time to kind of deal with their family members or loved ones who are suicidal right now. Is that what you were?
That's the calls that I've been getting this. I mean, we're not call center. So it's been interesting that people have been calling us quite a bit. And, you know, it has been this kind of, it's been, you know, brothers and children. And there was an uncle that someone called about. And but they all ended, and I'm not exaggerating, when all of them ended, I don't have time for this. You know, I've got everything else on my plate. How can I tend to this, you know, this person? And then there's almost this, they're just doing this for attention. I don't think you can ever take that, you know, the people are doing this for attention. You got to take it seriously.
Absolutely. You do have to take it seriously. And I assume, I mean, obviously giving out the text line, 741-741, the crisis text line, and the suicide prevention number is important, but we can't be somebody's only person.
Right.
I mean, we can't take that on. But when we do take that on, to sit with them and be with them in whatever space they're in, it's good just to listen and to reflectively listen, you know, be an engaged listener, but don't try to fix it. Messages often are not helpful. Instead, they can end up making you feel a little discounted. Like, did you even hear how sad I am? And you really think that just going outside and sitting in the sun for 5 minutes is going to make it better. Yeah, be careful with the fix it messages. A lot of listening is really important. And that goes for somebody that's in grief or somebody that's feeling suicidal. And sometimes they're not mutually exclusive.
What would be a good message besides being a good listener right now? Is there any type of message that would be good for people to kind of relay?
What do you think, Sarah?
I think there's quite a few messages that you can pick from. You know, I think making sure people know, like, we're all in this together, you know, and we are going to get through this. We don't know what it looks like, and that's okay. But there is a unity and a connectedness, and that in and of itself can bring hope, and just trusting in that and leaning into that kind of messaging. You can acknowledge it. Say, yeah, this is weird. It's not weird for some people. It's scary. It's unknown. Right. But we're all in it. We're all dealing with COVID-19 together and the same restrictions in Ohio, and then across the U.S. There's different things going on, but we're all facing this together, and no one is alone. Even if they're physically separated, they're not alone.
And Keiko, did you ask the question? Chloe, your mom, asked, what do either of you do to decompress or self-care?
We did ask that question.
Okay.
Well, then, did you want to answer? What do you do, Tony? Because the rest of us are female, so I feel like your answer might be a little different.
I cope with everything by joking about everything. Everything is it's not a funny situation, but when I am most stressed out, that's when I'll probably make the most inappropriate joke, because it is just the only way that I know how to cope with it.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of you know, joking. You know, I will go for a drive. You know, I don't go in anywhere, but just going for a drive and seeing, you know, trees and, you know, you know, other people that are in cars too. is really good for me. I'm actually going to I'm going to reach out to this Jackie Lynn because she said, Tony, I'm looking good too. So you know, I may. So thank you so much, Jackie.
Compliment when you can get it, you know.
Yeah. Hey, I'm an old dude, and I've got B cup here for the man for the man. So you know, I'll take what I can get. So.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It's all good.
I know, she's a married lady, sir. Good luck with your husband over her.
Oh well, you know, it's,
and not for nothing, but your wife is watching it.
Yeah, right there.
Like that.
Yeah, she yeah. Jackie Lynn, you can look, you just can't just touch. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my gosh, this is just going totally downhill. I had no idea.
Right?
Okay.
But I mean, there's the jokes. You gotta add jokes for it.
Absolutely.
After. I believe my mom has always said, like, when we were growing up, because just the craziest things would always happen to our family. And she would just always crack jokes during it. And she's like, well, I mean, you gotta just laugh at yourself somehow. So, yeah.
This is probably inappropriate. And it's and I don't even know if I should share it because it's probably, but it's the relationship that John Dudley and I have, who's one of the guys who have said hi.
You're still watching.
I remember the best moment that I was standing literally at my grandmother's casket, and he texts me, "Hey, you MFer, how you doing?" or something like, and that just cracked me up. And it made me like, wow. I mean, it just, for whatever reason, that kind of lightened the mood for me. Because, you know, my grandmother was very, very important to me. But it's like, to me, humor, we have, even in this age, we have to have some humor about it. Or we'll go, you know, we'll go batty.
Yes. Yes, we will.
Yeah. And I think you kind of capture an experience that a lot of people have and they end up getting shamed for actually in their grief journey is that they have a reaction that other people judge as inappropriate for laughing. Like, but
absolutely,
it's so okay to have that kind of reaction in your own personal grief journey. And if you laugh and it's in an inappropriate time, I mean, welcome to the club.
Right.
Was that hard for you? I mean, have you ever had someone say to you, you shouldn't be laughing? You've had something, you know, like, you know, Denise, you know, your son, your brother, you know, that it's interesting to me, and I think you've told me this, Denise, that it's, you know, people always try to say these things, how you should be acting, how you should be feeling.
They're prescriptions. Yeah, they try to prescribe.
Yeah. And I mean, how do you deal with that?
It's just not helpful when that happens. It was in the beginning, people would tell me, I remember multiple people saying, oh, you're not at the anger stage yet. And I was terrified. I don't want to be angry with my son. Why would I want to be angry with my son? He was hurting so much. And they were wrong. I was never angry with him. I may have had this general irritability, as my husband can attest to. And I may have gotten jabs in at Dre every once in a while. But I didn't go through that kind of anger, and it's hard when people prescribe that. It can be difficult.
And at the same time, you would never say to somebody, oh, you can't be angry about this. Everybody's kind of their own.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We are not the grief experts.
Right.
It's not like we know everything. We know our own personal journey, and we've interacted with a lot, hundreds, thousands even, of suicide loss survivors. But that doesn't mean we have the whole grief journey, all step 1, step 2, all figured out. We learn from every person we meet with, and we're there just to sit with them, to love on them, and to hold the space. And we hope that like we can offer this sense of normalization about what they're feeling, because you can seriously feel like you are going insane. We just want to offer some normalization without minimalizing what they're saying.
Right.
And have you ever, you talked about making phone calls to the loss survivors. How many times do you hear, oh my God, you called me right at the right time?
God, that is such a blessing when we hear that. Sarah and I know, have both had circumstances when we called somebody and that's the first thing they said. Yeah. And I don't have the right words to explain what a blessing that is. It's just so humbling.
But you can be that person who somebody needs to hear from, right at whatever moment. So I think that's really, really, and I think we can all be that, especially during this time.
Yes.
Where, my wife and I should have you should have called me, Keiko. My wife and I are fighting about gain scent tabs, and you should have called me. I'd have felt better.
Sorry, I didn't call you. Sorry. I feel horrible now, but I would probably be on your wife's side about that. So.
Just saying.
Sorry.
What do you think? Like when we come out of this, because we're gonna come out of this. Do you think that there will be a new normal, or do you think I guess, do we think that there will be a time that people will kind of almost grieve being in this situation?
That's interesting. You do. Why do you think that?
I think so. I think you do what you have to do along the way, right? You put one foot in front of the other, and many of us are functioners, high functioners, and we can kick into that mode. And I think that's part of why, like we were saying, Keiko, I feel like it's a little more real for me this week. I'm starting to settle in and actually feel, and not just do. And I think a lot of people, there was a lot to take care of. When we first started working from home, it's like, oh, I got to finish up this. I've got to contact this person. I've got to this. I've got to that. Right. But then when it all settles, it's kind of like what happens when you have a funeral or a memorial service. So many people are around and supportive, and you're busy preparing for all this, but then you don't have anything to do. Then is often when you fall apart. I think this could be similar, that we're going to we're going to be a little bit weepy, some of us, over what's happening, whether it's now or it's in the weeks to come. This is kind of a game changer. I think there will be a new normal to some extent. Maybe a different.
It's going to be an adjustment period too.
What'd you say?
I think it's going to be an adjustment period too, like getting back into the swing of things. Like I think it's going to be a little shocking almost.
I think so too. Yeah. It's going to be gradual for sure.
But I talked to Danny Eakins, who's over at Department of Vet Services, and he said something really interesting to me. He said, being quarantined is like being deployed. He says you're in this new environment. It's your house, but you're in this new, reality. And he says there are times that you can just kind of read and things like that, but there's also this kind of a specter that is out there, that we can't go outside. And so he actually, Jason and he and myself, and I'm going to call you about this, Denise. We're actually going to do to use the military's handbook of integrating back into society. How do you integrate back into normal? And good. All of those things.
I love that. That is really smart thinking. I'm surprised, Tony.
I ain't just another pretty face, according to Jackie. I'm somebody.
She comes in hot.
I don't know that things are going to go back to the way they used to be, but I do think that there will be a newer normal and having to accommodate and adjust to those changes. And, you know, some people who are relieved that this is happening right now, they're going to have to go back to the different things and learn how to navigate this new world along with all of us.
And you know, I would be interested the first time that we're at an Ohio State game or something, and somebody sneezes, oh my goodness sake, you know what's gonna, or somebody coughs in a grocery store. You know, we're
don't do that.
Yeah. So
I said, last time I went grocery shopping, and I got a few looks, and I was like, "Okay, I'm sorry." I felt instantly like I needed to apologize.
Yeah.
So, and you are hosting on Tuesdays. What are you doing?
So this is a first-time experience for us, and we just put it on our Facebook page, on the Franklin County Lost Facebook page. Oh, and look at that. Keiko put up the website. We are hosting on Tuesday, April 6th, I think is Tuesday. Is that right, you guys? 7th? Whatever it is.
Tuesday's the 5th.
No, Tuesday's the 7th.
What the hell?
Oh, 7th.
I'm looking at it.
What day is it?
What's the month?
Whenever Tuesday comes around, we are doing from 4 to 5 a Zoom meeting, gathering is the word we're using. And we're going to, it's for suicide loss survivors. We're going to ask people to introduce themselves and share, if they're willing, who they lost and when. And we're going to pose a question. And next week's question is going to be, what expectations am I letting go of around what normal looks like? Something to that effect. And we're going to just encourage people to share. And then we're going to, hopefully it goes well and we have some people that show up. And we're planning on doing that a couple more Tuesdays from 4 to 5 as well.
So I like that.
Yeah, it's just open to anybody that's a survivor.
Right.
It's Tuesday, Kim.
Yeah. Right. Tuesday, somewhere between the 4th and the 10th. I don't know.
What our next Tuesday?
Way to call her out.
Friday. But what we're talking about, this event, is on Tuesday, whenever Tuesday comes for you. I have a really hard time keeping track of like what day it is. Now that like I'm not going into an office, I'm like, when did I do that? What's tomorrow?
One of my friends posted on Facebook on Wednesday. Thank God for the 12 o'clock warning system. I at least know it's Wednesday at noon. This is a good point.
And how? Let's ask the obvious question too. How's everybody's hair? Are we all ready to get a haircut?
Are you kidding? I really like what my hair's doing right now. I straightened it today. The color's a really good color.
Your hair looks great today, Sarah.
I washed it. I brushed it because I knew people were going to see me. I straightened it.
Trust me, you guys, we have weekly, and sometimes I get together one-on-one with everybody on staff via Zoom. I really like to see people, right?
Right.
Sarah, for the last 2 team meetings that we've had, arrives in her bathrobe, and her hair is just kind of like.
But you know, I've been up for a couple hours just drinking my coffee. I just have zero reason to get out of my pajamas and not be snuggled in my bathrobe.
Really? Oh, are you? Well, that's the one nice thing about all of this is that like nobody cares. Like, you know, I think well, maybe you care, but like you save your judgment for later. But I FaceTime somebody just to ask them a question, and like my hair, and he's like, "Did you wash your hair today?" I'm like, "Nope, day 4." You know, and there's usually no judgment. I didn't think it was.
The hard part is actually not giving myself a mohawk. That is more.
And shaving your head.
Yeah, but having a mohawk, you know.
Right.
Because I want to do Liberty Spikes, but I have to put Denise's voice in my head that says, "Why do you think that's a good idea when this is over?"
And you says that her hair is good because she shaved it for St. Baldrick's.
Kim,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What
Kim
is St. Baldrick's?
Awesome.
She'll have to share what it is.
Okay.
I don't actually understand.
To the alien of the group.
So
what St. Baldrick's is.
And Sarah, you also,
I'm sure she's typing.
Yes.
Sarah, do you also wear the dinosaur pajamas? Is that what I've heard?
So they can be pajamas.
Did you keep them on standby like you said you would? You said you would.
They're in my bedroom.
Okay.
But
I think it's time for a wardrobe change.
I would love that.
You guys don't dare her.
I'm so embarrassed. I can't do it. I just can't. I've done so many shameful things that my parents are horrified by. I just don't want to keep adding to that list.
Oh, I don't know. Abby is for it. Abby says yes.
Abby has already seen Sarah in her dinosaur pajamas.
I really want to.
It's a costume. It's a costume. I just sleep in them from time to time as well.
How do you sleep in them? They have a tail.
Yeah, but I don't lay flat on my back when I sleep. I sleep on my
stomach sleeper.
And then, like, the head part, kind of like an extra neck pillow.
Nice.
Is this T-Rex or Brontosaurus or what are we talking here?
What dinosaur is it?
You guys call it a dinosaur. It's actually an alligator, which is technically considered a dinosaur.
It's green, and it's got teeth.
My mom said that she saw a post recently about the need to have underwear with the day of the week printed on them to help us all figure out what day it is.
That's why you just have like 3 pair.
I don't think I ever had those when I was little. I don't know if anyone else did, but I didn't.
Everybody, I mean, when you went to camp, did everybody's mom like print their name in
Everyone,
their underwear? My mom did.
Well, in my family, there's so many of us. We had to do that even though we weren't going camping. So my mom and dad, there's 8 kids total. So
you're 1/8?
Yes.
Holy guacamole!
Wow, so your dad was a producer.
Apparently, I guess.
I think Mom gets some credit, Tony.
She grew human beings who are mostly semi-functional adults. Even my brother Mike, before he passed away, he was really fun and going to school to be an architect. So,
Wow.
but yeah, there's so many of us kids. Our name was automatically in the underwear, so going to camp was a big deal. It was a vacation.
Lisa said that she had underwear that she would wear. She would wear Monday underwear on a Sunday.
Lisa's a rebel. She's a rebel.
Oh, is she? Did she do that? Did she only got 6 pair of underwear, or did she? So she wore 1-2 days?
Yeah, Lisa, let us know how many underwear did you have. Jennifer says that Mac is her daughter, and they have a hard time telling their underwear apart. This conversation is just.
Keiko, did you see what Kim said? Kim told us about St. Baldwin.
Oh yes, they've done research for childhood cancers. Oh, that's awesome! Good for you, Kim. That's great.
Very, very cool. So I take it that you, I'm guessing you shave your head and then your hair is probably donated to make, hair for folks. That's really fantastic.
Let us know.
We should have conferenced Kim into this whole thing.
We should.
She can answer these questions.
We need to know more.
Hey, there was a comment earlier that a lady had made that I don't know if you guys want to go back to it or not. It was around the timestamp of 4:17.
That's impressive, Sarah.
I scrolled up. I didn't remember it. I just scrolled up.
Stephanie?
Yeah, Stephanie Fish.
It can be scary to laugh for the first time after a suicide loss. Stop the feeling through our heads. Did you guys feel guilty? I saw that and I thought it was interesting.
God, yes.
Yeah.
What kind of mom am I? Every step of the way, I had that. You know, the first time I ate, seriously, the first time I ate, the first time I slept through the night without waking up sobbing, the first time I laughed, every first was what kind of mom are you? You're just going back to normal. It was terrible. It was terrible. And there's not a magic way to fix that. It just kind of, and Stephanie knows, it just stays with you. And you have to have people to journey with you that you can process it with. And eventually it does get softer. And eventually I laugh all the time now and I don't feel the least bit guilty. So it takes time if you're willing to lean into it and have healthy people around you.
Sarah, what about you? Did you feel any guilt around anything?
It felt really weird, like almost a betrayal. So it was just so weird. And I shamed myself and I'm like, how could I find anything funny in this world now that he's gone? Like, how can I find joy or experience this? Like, what kind of person am I? Does that mean I didn't really love him? Really weird. But I did have some good support at that time to join me with it.
And did you go through the thing that I try to share as much as I possibly can? This has nothing to do with parenting or with how long did it take for you to realize this wasn't anything that I did? This was something that was, for whatever, whether it was a mental illness or, whatever else, that this is not a parenting, this does not have anything to do with parenting. This is, mental illness is a mean disease. I will take that line from Terry Russell, who says it a lot. Mental illness is a mean, nasty disease. And how long did it take for you to, almost to be able to say, this wasn't my fault?
I actually know exactly when I said that, and I know where I was standing because I blogged about it that same day, and it was just shy of the 3-year anniversary. And I say that, and I don't want people to feel hopeless, like they're going to be miserable for 3 years. That's just my personal experience. Right. And along the way, it was still lighter. It was lighter. It wasn't as heavy as it was in the first few months, in the first year, the second year, the whatever. So it got lighter, but to actually verbalize and believe that maybe, and I think that's how I said it to my husband, maybe, just maybe, it wasn't my fault that Dre killed himself. Yeah, almost 3 years.
Wow. Well, that is that's John Ackerman. Absolutely, we appreciate everything John Ackerman, who is a phenomenal guy at Nationwide Children's Hospital. Appreciates the work done by Lost.
He's a solid guy.
He is awesome. Absolutely. One day, John, you're going to have to be our guest. Although we're going to wear a lab coat and make it whether your name's on your underpants. So
it comes right back around.
Now, if he just tuned in, he has no clue why you just said that.
that you're weird. I mean, you are, but
he's gonna be like, how do I delete that previous comment? I don't want to be associated anymore.
And communication with them. We talk about underwear. Weird. Well, I don't know if you ladies heard my first question, but I like to kind of end these things on a positive note. So what has been one positive thing that has kind of come from all of this for you guys?
For me, it solidifies, this is going to sound really cheesy, but it is really solidifying that my husband is my best friend. He works at Loss. We're already together all the freaking time.
Right.
and so this isn't that huge of an adjustment, but still we're together even more now. And he's just my best friend. We know when to give each other space. We laugh, we joke. It's just, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Sarah?
Well, there's a couple good things. I like that I don't feel guilt for not going to the gym. That's just off the table.
That's an awesome thing.
I've actually been more physically active now that the gym's not an option. It's a weird dynamic, but I think I am so grateful and humbled every time I engage with people because there's such a beautiful unity that I'm seeing and support and people just loving each other through this. And all these normal introverts are like, hey, you're going to get through this, man. It's okay. Let me share some things that are useful for me. And hopefully that helps. It's just been so beautiful to witness.
Yeah.
The fact that most people care so much that they were going indoors before we had a stay-at-home order, and most people love each other so much they're doing check-ins in all the ways that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Denise, I believe your husband is watching. Otherwise, someone else is saying thank you, sweetie, to you.
That Robbie is indeed my husband. That is from him.
I didn't realize this was going to be like a questionable dating site.
Whatever you need, we're here to provide it.
Jackie Lynn and I already broke up. She says she's married. So. I do want to, before we go, I do want to, and then I want to share also your Tuesday again, because I think that's really, really so valuable. But I did want to share that yesterday that a friend of my wife and I, Rick, he lost his son to COVID-19, 37-year-old son.
I'm so sorry.
So my prayers go out to you, Rick, and my thoughts. You're a wonder. You're just, you and Jim are just wonderful, wonderful folks in our lives, and anything we can do to support you during this, please let us know. Keep Rick and Jim in your prayers. And there he is, a little bit of a, that's Samuel, his son. So
awesome.
We wish you well there, Rick, and anything we can do to let us know. Yeah. But also Tuesday afternoon, what time? 4 o'clock?
4 o'clock. 4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Yes.
Go on that website.
That website right there. And we're going to do a little Zoom action with suicide loss survivors. Anybody that wants to join, it doesn't matter how long you've been walking this journey, you are welcome to attend and share. And we'll talk about what expectations we're lowering now that normal has gotten so weird for all of us.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, ladies, I just want to say thank you for all that you're doing for everything. Seems like you're really putting other people's well-being first, like just calling people and checking in on them. I think that's awesome. And doing this Zoom meeting, you know, to stay connected with everyone. I think that's really great.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank
Thank you for having us.
Well,
Thank
thanks for
you. This
being
was fun.
such great partners to us. I know you are so good to us, and you put up with my nonsense a lot. And so I just thank you so much. And really, I echo Keiko. I value the work that you and Robbie and Sarah and your whole team does. And I'm just really, really so proud to be a partner with you in this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks.
Can I give a shout out to all the lost volunteers, because without them, we would not be able to do this at all at the capacity that we do. They are all just incredibly special people.
Kind of awesome.
All of them have lost someone to suicide, but they are all just phenomenal nonetheless.
Yep.
Excellent.
Gold stars for all of you. I like to give gold stars.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you so much.
later.